No, what I think we'll do is, we're gonna do Casual's new video about the funniest animal on Earth. I think that's what this should be. This should be kind of uplifting. This one should probably lift our spirits up because if it's funny, we definitely want to watch it. So let's get some laughs to try and offset the tears. That's gonna be loud.
Show me someone who's never seen this with their eyes, and I'll show you a child that got left behind. The school system's failing, and this is proof. Did you know the average kid in America doesn't know about this harmonizing homunculus? Arguably one of the greatest gifts nature ever gave, yet they remain disrespected and unaccepted. Well, not today. Someone has to stand up for this comic relief, rough draft, auditory onslaught of a primate, and you already know I will. I mean, that's a given. You're probably familiar with the great apes, but in case you're not, they include gorillas, chimps, bonobos, i.e. chimps with a different R rating, and this guy.
Oh my god.
Together, along with humans, they make up the Great Ape group. Great Ape.
Good night, J10.
The name only an ape could come up with. But along the way, someone got snubbed, and this is actually live footage of it happening.
You are freaking
Great apes.
plus Mark. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm rocking with Mark because Mark is rocking with us.
Yeah, Gibbons got gatekept from the great ape lunch table. Science says it's because of their relatively smaller size, lower intelligence, ouch. And real talk, I think they're just too goofy for the other apes to want to be associated. But being tailless means Gibbons aren't monkeys either, and instead...
And Street, thank you for the tier 1 for 3 months in advance. I didn't realize my soundboard was kicking off on there, but and Neely Nax, thank you for the follow. No, Revan, I accidentally triggered my soundboard on that last one. I don't know why. I meant to pause the video because I meant to pause the video, and when I hit the spacebar, it triggered my soundboard for some reason. No, what I was going to show you before Street gave me the tier 1 and Neely Nax gave me the follow, thank you, was chat. Did you notice this?
Science says it's because of their relatively smaller size, lower intelligence, ouch. And real talk, I think they're just too goofy for the other apes to want to be associated.
That ape just took a shit while running along the fence.
Smaller size, lower intelligence, ouch. And real talk, I think they're just too goofy for the other apes to want to be associated. But being tailless means Gibbons aren't monkeys either, and instead got classified as lesser apes. That's already flagrantly flippant, but there's about 20 species of lesser apes. They're all Gibbons. Apparently, this drunk toddler of an ape was such an affront to the family, folks created an entirely new category to put them in and slapped them with the lesser label. Well, I'm gonna argue this tiger taunting, vocal cord flaunting, terminally trolling, usually barrel rolling primate might just be the prime ape. Now, to be fair, Gibbons are that one weird kid in class. They're like the missing link between apes and monkeys, but if evolution went on a side quest. Gibbons break a lot of the rules of being an ape. They have low sexual dimorphism, meaning the males and females are about the same size. They don't build nests to sleep. They put in about as much effort as pigeons. They're monogamous, allegedly. We'll get to that. And they basically spend their entire lives in the trees. Could have sworn they let the orang slide for that, but that's none of my business. They're also anatomical anomalies with a wingspan worthy of an infringement lawsuit from Go-Go Gadget. We call them lesser, but let's be glad they're still alive. Because uncovering a fossil that could jump rope its own skeleton, that Jumanji jump would have put us in another pandemic. You don't realize how long a gibbon's arms are until, well, one, you get slapped by one, but also until you put them next to a person for scale. But having joints longer than a prohibition for Peter Griffin is great for one thing.
Okay. That is like, holy shit. That really gives you an appreciation of just how fucking long their arms are. Yeah. That is a little bit disturbing. It kind of reminds me of the description of what was I forget the name of the character from the Stephen King book in Gerald's Game. There's a character in Gerald's Game. It's like the Space Cowboy or something like that. And his arms actually extended down past his knees. It kind of reminds me of that. It's like, that's kind of disturbing.
Peter Griffin is great for one thing, and it's kind of the thing Gibbons are known for. Like I said, Gibbons are completely arboreal, and there's actually a name for how they get from A to B. Brachiate. Calling it monkey bars is an insult. If you did this as a kid, you were on Gibbon timing. These branch-loving acrobats are the fastest things in the trees without wings. At 35 miles per hour, the tree goblin can brachiate fast enough to get pulled over in a school zone. And they'll yeet themselves up to 30 feet between trees. Forget a leap of faith, that's a leap of fortune. Specialized shoulders and wrists allow them to treat the jungle as their personal gym. It also helps that they're built like a CrossFit cryptid with the longest arms of any ape. If the average 5'4" woman adopted its build, she'd flex a 10'7" wingspan. And if you lived like one, you'd be parkouring off the cables of the Brooklyn Bridge. But they're not free from fall damage, and it's estimated most gibbons break a bone at some point in their lives. Gets even crazier when you realize mothers will pull these stunts with a whole baby in tow. And speaking of babies, you know how we always say animals use play as preparation for the life they'll live? Baby gibbons will not only learn to brachiate by chasing each other through the trees, they'll also intentionally let go of branches to catch themselves. But what even makes gibbons play a lifelong game of floor is lava? Well, like orangutans, they realize it's way safer to have your ops be gravity and time than touch tiger country downstairs and get murked by a feline. Because gibbons would rather run away than run a Gibbons are actually extremely territorial, and that, along with them having a 99 agility stat, is how you get the only animal alive that can vibe check a tiger and live to do it twice. Technically, it's mobbing behavior meant to drive away a predator using
my God! Look at him fucking with these tigers! This is like this is the epitome of fucking troll behavior right now.
Alive that can vibe check a tiger and live to do it twice. Technically, it's mobbing behavior meant to drive away a predator using the power of parkour.
And he fucking yanked on his tail like, bitch!
But the execution makes them move like Spider-Man minus morale. They're morale-less, but the only miles is how far they can drive a stripe delete button crazy. Show me a great ape that can taunt a tiger. Many have tried. Most have died.
Bang! Okay, let's see that again.
Or they can drive a stripe delete button crazy. Show me a great ape that can taunt a tiger. Many have tried.
Look at that! Like, okay. This is parkour. Look at that. Boing. Boing. Smack. And out. Okay, parkour enthusiasts. Here is your metric. Show me what you're made of.
Died. A whole apex predator and twig ninja just ear-pulled them like a delinquent. And they don't play favorites. Gibbons have also been recorded harassing clouded leopards getting too close, although I'm pretty sure that one was trying to sleep and got hit with the long arm of audacity. Because if you think they only use their powers for protection, gibbons are the most unapologetic trolls in the animal kingdom. We told them they're the great ape's little brother, and now they done made it their personality. No other way to explain this. Porcupines are better protected against lions than versus a tree-happy instigator. Even a so-called great ape can end up looking pretty stupid around a lesson.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just love the fact that he's running, when he runs away from this thing, he's running with the... Tell me if this doesn't sound, if you are not hearing in your head with this run.
This is a tree-happy instigator. Even a so-called great ape can end up looking pretty stupid around a lesser. Gibbons are an impulsive thought come to life. They don't think it, they just do it. Fun fact, this is the Memphis Zoo, that's Ringo, and they even warn you to stay off the glass because he'll literally injure himself trying to jump scare you. You know nature made you crack, and you're the only mammal alive that can go band for band with a cat. With zero regard for feline rights, you've never seen a cat this outmatched. And they'll easily play Matador with your dog. I love it because there's no scientific reason for them to be like this other than gibbons are all about the dickery. Except with mice. You know, put a mouse in front of them and things suddenly stop being funny. But with arms like that, they'll always keep it humorous. But there is one animal that forms the most unlikely friendship with them. Or maybe not. Because on paper, gibbons and orangutans actually have a lot in common. They live in the same area code, they're both for the trees, and orangutan actually translates to man of the forest. At the same time, some, like the Hulak gibbon, have been affectionately nicknamed the little man of the forest. But their personalities are so opposite, they honestly belong in a buddy comedy. Gibbons are hyper-athletic, flyweight, and the fastest moving animals in the trees. Orangs are the largest, the mascots of stoicism, and yo, I swear they could talk, they just don't want to deal with taxes. Polar opposites, yet time and time again, wild gibbons and orangutans have been caught playing with each other. I like to think the fact that they don't compete for the same foods means they don't really have a reason to have beef, and a lot of zoos will actually assign them together as roommates. Another reason orangutans are chill like that: if gibbons suddenly get accepted into the Great Ape Club, I think you know who pulled the strings for them. And you think orangs would find a sentient sugar rush annoying, and that gibbons might find Bigfoot's understudy intimidating. But not only do they play with each other, they even trust each other with their own children. Orangs have quite the obsession with baby gibbons, and gibbons really be rocking with an infant Cheeto ape. There's even one gibbon in the Brookfield Zoo that'll leave his enclosure just to visit the orangutans next door. But there's at least one other ape gibbons bond with. In some places, wild gibbons will actually become habituated with humans to the point where they'll regularly drop by and groom their favorites. Galia was a hula gibbon who was famous because every day, she'd come down from the trees, hobble over to the locals, and provide a free hour-long salon service, starting with Bupeshwar Ningda, the man who protected her as an orphan. It hits different when you realize grooming is how gibbons reinforce social bonds in a family. Now, it is bittersweet since it likely took her entire actual family getting put on a shirt for her to get to that point, and we'll get back to that. But I'd say that's pretty damn great. For a lesser ape, even dogs aren't immune to a gibbon act of goodwill. And now that you're familiar with them, I think we can go ahead and meet all the types of gibbons, or as many as my attention span will allow. This is a Siamang. They're the heavyweights of the gibbons at a whopping 30 pounds. They're the ones with that throat scrote, or as I like to call it, the chesticle. It's a pouch that works like an amplifier to broadcast their call, and clearly nature had an off.
Tell me you don't recognize this sound.
They're the ones with that throat scrote, or as I like to call it, the chesticle. It's a pouch that...
That, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but that call is what Hollywood typically uses for literally every background, like, jungle sound. Like, every background noise, animal background noise in Hollywood's jungle sounds is this freaking gibbon call. Everyone.
It's a pouch that works.
That's it. So, Hollywood will use the gibbons for their call. But they won't show them the proper respect. They deserve it.
Like an amplifier to broadcast their call. And clearly nature had an off day when it spawned a frog monkey that looks like one of Ben's 10. As much as I like them, this would be terrifying to have fly over your head. It's a reminder that even the comic relief of the apes could scramble your face if they really wanted to. But I think nature knew it animated Slenderman's shadow a little too well, because it went ahead and gave them...
What do you want to bet? I want to say they also use that call up for the Ewoks too. What do you want to bet George Lucas took the call of a gibbon and applied it to the Ewoks? He tweaked it. He did tweak a little bit. But if you think about it, so a lot of the Ewok calls that you might hear when they're, like, obviously it's much more high pitched. It's not, there's some pitch changes, but I think maybe he took inspiration for how the Ewoks would make their verbal calls. I think he took it from the gibbon.
The most unserious vocal stim you've ever heard.
Hey! Okay, let's just call it his. He just busted a nut. I'm sorry, you do not sound like that unless you are about to bust a nut. He just busted a nut. I'm sorry, I have to call it like I see it.
This is a northern white-cheeked gibbon, which definitely, for sure, is not venom, no matter how hard you try to perceive otherwise.
Okay, casual called it before I could. Yeah. Chat, gibbon, how many of you thought that? When this thing came out of the bushes, how many of you thought that? I'm about to blow. Yeah, I'm not talking about, okay, Zeb, I'm not talking about when they spoke. I'm not talking, I'm not referring to when the Ewoks were like, quote unquote, talking. I'm talking about when they made their calls. When they made their calls or their shouts. That's what I was referencing, not their language. That'd be good timing. Yeah, but who didn't see this and easily think it's them? Hmm?
Which definitely, for sure, is not venom, no matter how hard you try to perceive otherwise. And in case you're curious, the babies are all born white. After about a year or two, they turn black. The males stay that way, but the females eventually revert back to their cream colorway, proving the once widely accepted scientific theory wrong. You can go back. This is a Skywalker Gibbon, and yes, they were discovered in 2017 by a group of scientists who apparently love Star Wars that much. The namesake of Luke was found in Myanmar, Southeast Asia, and it's believed there's less than 200 of them. But they're not as bad as the Hainan Gibbon, which isn't just a—
Wait, why did they call them the Skywalker Gibbon? Why? What is the purpose for naming them after Luke and or Anakin? I have to know, like, where did that decision come from? Yes, nerds. And yes, because Star Wars fans, but what about this Gibbon lent themselves to say, we are going to name this after the Skywalkers? Maybe, Revan? I don't know.
And it's believed there's less than 200 of them. But they're not as bad as the Hainan Gibbon, which isn't just the rarest ape, but one of the mammals closest to getting discontinued, with less than 40 of them. Crazy thing is, it used to be worse. They went from a couple thousand in the 1950s to where you could count on both hands how many were left by the 70s. Again, we got the Hulak Gibbon. I like their face. The Silvery Gibbon. I like their hair.
Obvious.
Good thing they max out at 2 feet. Any taller, we'd be having Yeti conversations. And lastly, the Pileated Gibbon.
Oh, he's right.
They max out at 2 feet. Any taller, we—
Wow, he's right. When they're upright like that? Huh. He does kind of look like Yetis.
we'd be having Yeti conversations. And lastly, the Pileated Gibbon, because in my opinion, they have the coolest call.
Another type of sound that Hollywood loves to use. Typically that one you hear when everything's quiet. That's the kind of sound, that's the kind of animal call that you would hear in Hollywood when typically, ironically enough, it's typically used in a forest. Not even a jungle. I'd say this one I'd say they typically use in forests where you would not see a gibbon. Bearing in mind, this is not something they'll use in the scene in a forested area, heavily densely forested area, where you would not see a gibbon, and you hear this call. So yeah, the gibbons are like Hollywood soundboard basically for ambient animal sounds.
Now at this point you might be wondering, why do gibbons call at all? Well, that's the second thing they're known for. The reason for it, well, you have a lock on your door, some have a gate, but gibbons, nah, they mark territory off straight. It's actually the same reason male lions roar, to tell outsiders that they best keep it that way. Except gibbons will often do it as a duet, and sometimes they'll get the kids involved and make it a family matter. And they'll usually do it in the crotch of dawn, and if you live next to a zoo with gibbons, you've definitely heard it. And remember, they're territorial, so if you hoot back at them, you might just end up going band for band with a broadcasting tree siren. Hey, yeah, post-production cashier, don't do that. Not only will you offend them, it's like showing teeth to a gorilla, but gibbons are capable of doing something about it. In 2011, a gibbon escaped a Malaysian zoo after being taunted and severely mauled a child, and while I will spare you all the details, I will say his mom had to carry pieces of his thigh in a plastic bag. The odds are low, but they're not zero. So yeah, best keep the singing to the gibbons. It's a big deal for them.
And, okay, he referenced lions. Wolves are an even bigger proprietor of this kind of territory market. Yes, wolves will mark with scents. They'll do urine scent marking, but they absolutely do territorial marking with howling. That is well known because there was a I think he was a zoologist. He was a specialist in wolf behavior. She spent I think it was a year actually living with wolves, actually in the enclosure with them. He never changed his clothes. He actually was a part of the pack. And he developed a method for keeping wolves away from human populace because he would record the howls of his wolf pack, make a copy of it, bring it too far away to these areas that had wolves encroaching upon their territory, and actually play the wolf howls through a loudspeaker, and it would actually keep rival packs at bay and prevent them from encroaching upon, typically it was farmland areas where they had livestock. You would actually keep other packs from encroaching upon human developments that have things like livestock because of playing these wolf pack howls. So they're probably one of the better known ones versus even lions, I would say. Wolves are known for utilizing their howls as territory markers far more than lions do, I would say.
They spent actual years of their lives perfecting it. It's very much giving albatross marriage dance. In some species, Mama Gibbon will help her daughters practice with their version of singing lessons where the daughter tries to match her mother's pitch. For male gibbons, they learn by imitating the male figures around them. After years in the lab, they're able to come together and make the sound you've heard in every movie's jungle scene ever. There's something about the fact that males and females spend years perfecting their songs, and when they do come together, the songs just fit each other perfectly. These duets become a verbal vow renewal as the songs help reinforce their pair bond. And that's the third thing gibbons are known for. They're the only apes that are monogamous. Can you imagine a gibbon seeing another gibbon and just making it work? No other ape, not gorillas, chimps, definitely not bonobos. And you know most humans ain't about that. Entanglements be damned. Except, yeah, about that. So the whole monogamy thing came from researchers watching a group and witnessing a couple only getting active with each other. Except what they didn't realize was by being around these gibbons constantly, the gibbons eventually got used to the people and would get way closer than they usually would. The problem is the other gibbons that weren't as chill with humans would see this and treat the human habituated gibbons like the plague and avoid them at all costs. Honestly, good for them. But if gibbons do mess around on their partners, the researchers basically block them from doing it. Also, any cheater can look loyal for the weeks or months the researchers spent watching them. So, Ryan Bolombit decided to study a gibbon family for 6 years, and this time, instead of habituating themselves to just one pair, pretty much all the groups in the area were habituated, meaning they could truly study gibbon free will. And when I tell you it was Real Housewives of Indonesia out there, I'm gonna tell you a story, but it will get messy, so I'm gonna need you to lock in or you will get lost. So it starts with two gibbon families. Each one had a sub-adult, basically a teenager, and one had a teenage male and the other a teenage girl. And we're still talking about gibbons. Both teenagers left their respective families, got together, and found a new territory to live in. And that's when stuff got weird. Because the teenage guy gibbon also had two younger juvenile brothers, and for reasons beyond me, they moved in with Big Bro and his girl. To Palombit, that was already cause to pause, but it got wicked once the adult male from the female gibbon's original group, i.e. her father, disappeared. Because apparently a parent in past tense is a canon event. Well, with a sudden power vacuum, guess who filled in? Yeah, the same sub-adult male along with his baby brothers all moved into the female's group, and the teenager took his girl's dad's place. He then just moved back and forth between the two spots, meaning Mans was monkey branching from his original girl to her mother. And in what's a lot more common than you might think, the mother and daughter had serious beef, and when things finally got too hot and the male had to pick a side, he chose the mother and fully moved in. The mom would have a baby that was likely fathered by her daughter's ex. As for the sub-adult daughter, that was the last time Palombit saw her. If there's a moral in this story, one way or another, Gibbon's gonna find a way to swing.
The fucking player. He hooked up with the girl. They started their own family group. And then he moved in on her mom. Got caught. And picked the fucking mom over the girl. Now, big dog, this is more like Melrose Place kind of shit versus 90210. But this is that, like, this is some, definitely some Hollywood shit going on here.
It was also that time one in the Kujukushima Zoo in Nagasaki had people questioning everything after 12-year-old Momo got pregnant while being housed with exactly 0 men. They thought it was an immaculate conception. Folks thought she spawned Gibbon Jesus, until they did a DNA test and found the father was 34-year-old Ito, who thankfully was also a Gibbon. They still had no idea how they did.
Thanks fucking God. Okay. That scared me for a second. That absolutely scared me for a second. When you say the father was 34-year-old and cuts to this guy, I'm like, okay, thank God.
Did to do, until they found a 9mm hole in a steel plate between enclosures. That's 9mm. He really wanted that glory. The whole time we call them lesser when really we're not that much better than Gibbons. I don't care what the literature
Motherfucker use a glory hole. Yeah, I'll rewind.
hole in a steel plate between enclosures. That's 9mm. He really wanted that glory the whole time.
See, literally, glory holder. Holy shit. Yeah, Revan, I think we did just go into Jersey Shore drama territory.
We call them lesser when really we're not that much better than Gibbons. I don't care what the literature says, they're great to me. Especially since we've probably done Gibbons dirtier than any other ape. Remember Kalia? Well, not only did she lose her family, but after a kid taunted her with a slingshot and she finally bit back, the boy's father came after her with a shovel and she lost her life. This kind of thing actually happens a lot to Gibbons. Not only do they get their homes knocked down and trees removed, a lot of times they get reduced to pets. It's to the point where virtually every Gibbon is flirting with extinction. In fact, some like the Heinen might as well be in bed with it. I don't like ending the video like this, but I feel like Gibbons being so overlooked makes it that much easier for the atrocities against them to get buried.
Look at him! Look at that! Oh my God, they've got like, even on the infants! Oh God, this is fucking cruel! No, would you be? Okay, I mean, we joke about this kind of stuff on stream all the time. We do make the jokes about, you know, wearing a collar and a leash. We make the jokes, we have fun with it. This is fucking cruel. Especially when it's being done to the fucking infants. I do not know where this is. I don't know if this is in an Asian country or where, but this is just fucking cruel.
And if we don't lock in and spread the word, Nature's one-man comedy special will be canceled in our lifetime. But then again, does it not make sense for the comic relief to have the most tragic backstory? At the end of the day, Gibbons proved that you might not be a great ape, but you're still a great ape. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water, hug your mother, support your local Gibbons, and one last thing to take home. But this is important. Always remember to...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Andrea. I was thinking Cambodia myself. Get
Okay, fine. I'll do the thing, right? And I'll see y'all in the next one. Sit back down. Video ain't over. I really bought this shirt specifically for this video just to realize y'all can even see the whole thing, so...
Oh, I like it.
Now I'll see y'all in the next one.
I like the shirt. I do like that shirt. That's a cool shirt. Johnny, I really hope you're not referencing the Gibbons with that statement. I don't want to talk about eating the Gibbons. Not nice. Not nice at all. Oh, Johnny, no, don't talk about eating the Gibbons after we just saw that heartbreaking footage. Mean. Meanie.